Hey folks, Malforian here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, you see it correctly, we're doing another tier list. We haven't done one for a while on the channel, and we've still got that kind of lull in news before the studio come back to work after the summer break, so we will then start building up to the next event pack that's coming out, which looks really cool so far. But in the meantime, I thought I'd talk about the DLC for Crusader Kings 3 that we've already had release, put it on the old tier list, because I do keep seeing questions in my live stream chat or in the comments of my videos still from people saying like, oh, which one should I pick up? If I've got a limited amount of money, is it worth getting this DLC or the other one? Which one can I miss? Or should I get them all? Or can I play with none of them? You know, so I thought we'd just put them on here. We'll have a little discussion about it. As always, this is subjective. This is how I think they're ranked. If you think differently, that's fine. Do leave a comment down below if there's any that you think are crazy, mis-tiered, but I think generally the community is pretty standard in where they think most of the DLC lies. But anyway, let's get straight into it. We're going to start, as always, at the beginning. We're going to start with probably the most controversial one, I think, almost, is Northern Lords. Now, Northern Lords was fantastic when it came out. It brought so much cool stuff into the game. It brought Varangian Adventures. It brought two of probably the best legacies still in the game, Venture and Pillaging, that are just crazy good. You know, especially the Pillaging one is just so good. The bonuses it gives are crazy. Obviously, you have got to be Norse to use them, but it's that little bit of extra content if you are playing as a Northern Lord. You know, it did bring, like I say, the Varangian Adventures, so you can go on your Heisteen Adventures places. You can take your Norse to India, the popular meme one, and all that cool stuff. But what I will say is I think Northern Lords suffers from two things. One, Fate of Iberia, the other flavor pack, which we will get into obviously later on, has about three times as much content as this one. It's kind of how they rebalanced how these packs were going to work, and I think it really punished Northern Lords because it was the first one out. And the second thing is obviously they raised the price of the flavor pack. When Fate of Iberia came out, they kind of rebalanced again the cost of these, and the Northern Lords flavor pack costs the same as Fate of Iberia, which just doesn't make sense, really. Like, I know they're both flavor packs. I know they wanted to standardize the pricing with them bringing in these event packs, but Northern Lords just isn't as good as Fate of Iberia, kind of monetarily. For the amount you spend on it, you get way less for the same price, basically. I don't think anyone would argue that. So yeah, Northern Lords, the first DLC we got. I'm going to say, like I say, it's weird because I think the actual content itself is good, but I think in the in the tier of all the DLC, I'm going to put it at B. I think it could almost be C. Again, like if you don't play as the Norse, it's kind of pointless, but that's kind of the same for most flavor packs, although less so, to be honest, for the later ones, as we will get into. As we've discussed before, the way Paradox are doing DLC this time around is just so much better. Like the base mechanics, all the kind of mechanical improvements to the game are in the free patch, which also makes this a little bit more difficult because sometimes the free content that you got as part of the free patch is probably better than the DLC, especially when, well, we'll get to one later on where I think that definitely is the case. And so that does kind of muddy it. I'm kind of putting it all together. So what came in the free patch and what came in the DLC is kind of where I'm doing it. Because if we're being honest, people who bought the DLC kind of fund the free patch in a way, if you think about it that way. You know, if people didn't buy the DLC, we wouldn't carry on getting content. So I kind of link them together, especially for the sake of a tier list. So anyway, yeah, Northern Lords is going to be B, I think. I think the content's good, but I think for the price, it's kind of not as good as other DLC. Definitely worth picking up. If you can get it cheap, if you can get it in a sale, it's fantastic. But if you don't play as the Norse, it was super Norse themed, obviously. But even mechanically, there wasn't much that you can use outside of the Norse realm. So we'll put it at B. I don't think it's C, because like I say, the actual content's good. We get to the probably controversial one, which is Royal Court, the first expansion that we had for the game. Now, obviously, this did bring a lot of stuff into the game itself. Obviously, brought the throne room. It brought, Holding Court itself with all those events. It brought Court Grandeur, inspired people. But then as part of the free patch, it did bring the remake of cultures. So you can hybridize cultures. You can diverge cultures. Just the whole culture system got a redo for this. And if nothing else, this DLC was worth it just for the fact it remade cultures. And cultures are fantastic now. They're just so much ahead of CK2. It's crazy. But yeah, Royal Court itself, like Holding Court is kind of fun, but I think you'd all agree once you've done it like 10 times, you're kind of bored of it. I do like the artifacts and the throne room itself. I do like you play different places. It looks different. You can steal the banners of your enemies, stick them on the wall. You can have all this cool stuff in there. I do really like that. I think the events, they really need to flesh them out. With the future DLC, we didn't really see it, to be honest, after this one. So far, anyway, is they've got to put more of those court events in. When you hold court, you have those 3 events. They really need to flesh that out with some more events, because it just gets kind of boring really quickly. And yeah, that would help a lot, I think, with how Royal Court is viewed. I think most people would agree. There's just not enough events that it just gets boring, and you kind of don't want to hold court. You're almost like, oh, okay, it's been 5 years. I guess I'll hold court because I get told off if I don't by my vassals. So yeah, Royal Court, I'm going to put it... It's weird. I'm going to put it as C. I think it's almost a B solely down to the culture remake. And like I say, the artifacts are pretty cool. They do get a bit spammy, but they do bring some kind of cool stuff that happens and inspired people and all that stuff. So, but I'm going to put it as C. If I'm honest, for the price you pay for it, it didn't bring all that much. And I think the major, like, the court itself has been a bit of a letdown. I think a lot of people just don't like doing it. And for that reason, we're going to put it in C. So what's next? We have got Fate of Iberia. So I think this is probably one of the kind of best DLC we've got so far. It brought so much cool stuff. It brought the struggle mechanic, which has been fantastic. There's some really cool mods that have used the struggle mechanics in some really interesting ways. The Fallen Eagle, for example, and plenty more have put really cool uses to the struggle that is obviously in Iberia in this flavor pack. It also brought in another legacy. This one, Metropolitan, is alright. I'll be honest, I rarely use it. Much like the Northern Lords one, you have to be in a specific part of the map to use it. And it's okay, but I think the other ones kind of outclass it quite a bit. So I don't really use the legacy that much, but it is cool that we got a new one. I always like those getting added. And then obviously added a bunch more artifacts, heirlooms, treasures, decisions, all that cool stuff for Iberia. And yeah, that was it, a flavor pack. Again, all around Iberia, another European flavor pack. I'm glad the next one is going to be Legacy of Persia, somewhere out of Europe. Give us some cool other DLC for the game to flesh it out a little bit more. But I think overall, Fate of Iberia, I'm going to put it at probably A. Again, it's a little bit weird if you don't play in Iberia. It's obviously not very good because, again, it's mainly themed around Iberia. But the actual content itself, if you play in Iberia, it's really cool. And the fact the mechanics it brought, I know it's a little bit of a weird kind of like bonus for it, but the mechanics it brought are just used so well in mods that I think it gets a little bit of a bonus for that. There's just been too many cool mods that have used that struggle mechanic in England for some cool stuff. And then, like I say, the Fallen Eagle, and there's plenty others that have used it as well. So yeah, that one's going to be A. It could be B, but I think it definitely is a step above Northern Lords. So for that reason, it's going in A. It's definitely the best flavor pack. So I don't think we can go too far wrong with that. So what we got next, we got Friends and Foes, the event pack. Is this good? Kind of. It's kind of good. More events. Never going to complain about more events. The more events this game gets, the better and better. So yeah, it's pretty good. I will say it had the 2 kind of mechanic improvements they brought in. It brought like the Nemesis and the Best Friend mechanic, and it brought in the Memories mechanic. Both things, if I'm being honest, I usually forget are even in the game. I don't know what you guys think. They're not bad mechanics, and they are kind of cool to kind of just flesh out the game a little bit more, but I never really use them. I never think, oh, I need to have a Nemesis, or oh, it'd be great to have a Best Friend. The Memories side of it is cool. I do use that from time to time. If you take over a character and maybe they've got a foe or a nemesis, you know, let's keep it on brand, and you've no idea why, you know, you can go to the memories, you can see, oh, they're a nemesis because the other person killed their father or something, or some other slight, and that's the reason why. So they were kind of cool little bonus mechanics, I guess, that don't really add much to the game, but they are cool to kind of just flesh out the game a little bit more. And the events themselves are okay. They're not too bad, but they do bring that extra content to the game. So the Friends and Foes, I don't know, C? I'm going to say C. Maybe it could be a B. Like, it's good. Are you missing it if you don't have it? I mean, you kind of are, but it's not like crazy. Like, you wouldn't crazily miss anything that was in there, but it's definitely worth picking up. Again, if you can get this on the sale, definitely pick it up. And then we're on to the big boy, Tours and Tournaments. Look, I'm not even going to mess around. This is S. This is by far the best DLC they've released. I don't think anyone could argue it, if I'm being honest. I'm sure someone will in the comments, but Tours and Tournaments is by far the best DLC that's come out of Crusader Kings 3. It's just so good. Like, the amount of content it brought in, the fact it changed how the world feels, to me, again, let me know what you think, but to me, the game feels totally different now that we've got tours and tournaments. And I didn't really think that was going to be the case in the lead up to it, especially the announcement. I think this one suffered because the announcement they did at PDXCon was kind of bad. It really didn't show off how much content was coming with it. It just kind of looked like we were getting tournaments and that was it, and a little bit of tour stuff. But the more they showed off, and obviously the more we've got to play it ourselves, I think it's just fantastic. Like, it's really cool. You've got all the grand activities. You've got obviously the tours, the tournaments. The fact you get like 3 tours, it isn't just like one kind of tour. You can intimidate people. You can get taxation, which gives you a crazy amount of gold. You can go majesty tours, just get more prestige, make your vassals like you more and stuff like that. And then obviously you can go on pilgrimage, and it redid hunting and feasts and everything like that. So overall, it's just fantastic. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's by far the best one. Is there some annoying parts of it? Yeah, there is. The Knights Honors, things like that are a little bit annoying. I kind of hope that gets changed in a future patch, trying to sort them out and get future successes and things like that for them. It is a little bit annoying, but overall, it's just great. And again, the content in here is going to be fantastic for mods. You can only imagine what Game of Thrones is going to do. It's pretty much set up perfectly for that. Grand weddings, red weddings, full tournaments at Harrenhal, all this crazy stuff. And yeah, for that reason, it's the S tier. If you are watching this and you're like, oh, I've only got enough money for like 1 DLC or 2 of them, Tours and Tournaments has to be the one you buy. It's just by far the best one. It's not even close in my eyes. So yeah, it's fantastic. Like, there's just no comparison. Anyway, that's enough for me grandizing Tours and Tournaments. It's just awesome. So yeah, pick it up if you can. And the last set of DLC we've got here are the clothing packs, basically. These were free with either the Royal Edition when the game launched, or during the chapter bundles that came out with each kind of season of DLC. Now, these, if I'm being honest, have kind of devalued since they came out. And I know that sounds like a weird thing, but especially as they were free. But now you can use mods during achievement runs. These are kind of less good in a weird way, because before, if you're doing achievement runs, you had to use these to get kind of variety in these areas of the game. Whereas now, you can just have the community flavor pack installed, and it brings hundreds and hundreds of different clothing and flavor into the game, which kind of covers what these DLC did. They were free though, in a way, so can't complain. You know, it's just bonus content basically for buying the season pass and things like that. So these are all going in the special "it's free" column, mainly because they were free. And yeah, you can easily just miss these and just install a community flavor pack, because it's fantastic. One of the best mods out there. I'm sure if you've played Crusader Kings, you know that already. And if you do watch the channel, I always do achievement runs and narrative campaigns, and I always have achievements and Iron Man turned on. And it's been really cool being able to add those mods into those playthroughs to kind of add that flavor to the game and, you know, just improve how the game plays while still getting those achievements and things like that. So yeah, these free ones are okay, but there's now mods that do better than them. And they're also free, so that's good. And what I will say to end is, and I haven't put these on the tier list, is basically just mods in general, especially as I said, you can use them in achievement runs now. They should be like 1 below S tier, maybe between these or something like that, because 1, they're free. Mods are free, and 2, they're fantastic. There's so many cool mods. If you're watching the campaign at the moment on the channel, which is the Rise of the Gurids, I have the community flavor pack on, and I have the Viet event mod turned on as well. And it just adds that little bit of extra content everywhere. And it's not super intrusive, but it just adds that little bit of extra stuff going on in the world. It makes it feel a bit more like Crusader Kings 2, I guess, where there was always that such variety in events happening that we haven't quite got to in CK3. And I'm sure we will do in the future. You know, I'm sure there's plenty more DLC coming. We have got the Persia DLC coming later in the year, as well as the event pack as well coming soon. That is my quick tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think it's relatively fair. Maybe Royal Court could go up 1. Maybe Northern Lords could come down 1. You'll have to let me know. And yeah, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Hit like if you've enjoyed it. Helps other people find the channel in the future. And if you're new here, I cover Crusader Kings 3, obviously, the Dev Diaries news, discussion videos like this, and I do narrative campaigns on the channel. So yeah, if that's your kind of thing, hit subscribe. I also play other historical titles as well, so we don't just play Crusader Kings here. But yeah, on that note, we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you in the next one.